friends I know. We got the windows down, way out here in nowhere. God bless America, America. Land of the free, home of the brave. Land of the free, home of the brave. America. Coming down the highway, took the road to Tennessee. From the Badlands to Texas, on the road to everywhere. God bless America, America. Land of the free, home of the brave. Land of the free, home of the brave. America.
And a nice way to start. Yes, God bless America. Dave in the AM here with the Southern Fried Podcast with a very special friend, James from the Empty Pockets Podcast, a new series for us. And I appreciate James agreeing to be the first guest. My gut always tells me I plan things to a sense, but planning is only as good as what my gut tells me. And I know I'm just right on this, that James was to be the first one. And we're going to interview people from all walks of life, not just content creators, but different people. And I expect to do this for a bit. And the intent of the show is to get other people's stories, which is always what we do on the Southern Fried, is to get their story. So tonight it's James's story. And in a greater sense, it's all of our stories as we think about America and what it means to us. So these words tonight are his. I'm not going to try to influence his story or his words. I may ask questions. I may try to dive a little deeper on something if he wants to do that, or if he don't feel comfortable, we won't. But what we want to do is talk about patriotism, what America means to him, and a little bit later in the program, a little deeper dive into what is America first. And again, what does that mean to James, not to David? It's not about me right now. I want to hear what James has to say. And I think that's important. Because I've heard a lot of different ideas about what is America first. And so, anyway, welcome to the program, James, and thank you so much, brother, for being here.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, I thank you for, especially for me being the first. I mean, come on, me.
Hey, you're awesome, dude. You'll see James on his own program, Empty Pockets Podcast, on Rumble and YouTube. He does a movie night on Monday nights, I think that is. He does a Sunday night program. He's all over the place. He's on Killer Carl's program, sometimes Kim's Coffee Talk, sometimes on the Southern Fried. I don't know where else you go, but you show up a lot of places. I like that.
Yeah, Big Tony Speaks. I'm on his every now and then. I was just on Kim's yesterday morning.
Awesome.
I'll be on Carl's later on tonight.
Oh, good. I'll have to check it out.
I'm gonna start doing my own on Wednesdays. Like I usually stream whenever something pops off, basically. during the week, and I'll write something down and I'll make some notes, and then I'll just go live and talk about what's going on and how I feel about it. Because that's basically what my show's all about. It's how I feel about something, my
Yeah,
opinion, and
yeah,
then I throw a lot of facts in there, and I show you why I feel as as best as I can. I show you why I feel the way I feel about something, and then it's really up to you, how you feel about it. What's your position on it? I'm not trying to sway you. I'm just trying to tell you what my position is, and hopefully educate a few people that maybe find out something they didn't know that they should know, and it gives them the incentive to go dig deeper, look into it yourself a little bit more. Don't just take my word for it. But I tell everybody all the time, don't just take my word for it. I can guide you down the path of looking at the different things that you should know that they don't show you on regular news.
that's right. Uh, so I just want to say before we get going, the first time I saw you was on, I think, was on Killer Carl's program, and it just so happened that night I was working late, so I listened to the whole program, and it might be the second time I've seen you there, but I think in that show I realized you had your own show, and it just so happened when I left work, you were doing a late, and I mean a late live, like midnight or something. It was really late, and yes, Broski, my gosh, I was in tears earlier about that story. It's gripped my heart today. But anyway, you were on live and you were giving all this great information, and I thought I got to check this guy out because there were a lot of guests on the Killer Carl program, and sometimes you're talking, sometimes you're not. That's really the first time that I really heard you. But when I went to your program, I got the full effect. I don't remember what you were discussing that night, but it gripped me. I listened all the way home and sat in the truck for a few minutes and listened to it on my phone as I was getting yes, broski, and God bless you, as I was getting out. But anyway, America first. And so to just get started, everybody has a starting place. We're products of where we started and our families or our school or family, uncles, aunts, whatever it was. James, what started your journey down uh, to have a great love for America and to have patriotism for this country? Somewhere that seed had to be planted. Where did that start?
Well, I can tell we'll go all the way back. Let's go all the way back. In 1976, the bicentennial year. You probably remember that.
I do.
Everything was red, white, and blue all year long. Everything that you could imagine, all your clothes, all your decorative stuff. I've even seen people paint their cars, the red, white, and blue flag that year. It was just everywhere, and I thought, man, this is cool. You know what I mean? It's just like uh, that's when they restored the colonial ships. They had like two colonial ships they restored
I
that
remember
came
that.
over. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I thought, man, this is cool. And they had something similar like that, a smaller version of that boat in Columbus, Ohio. So we got to go over and get on it. And so I thought, man, this is cool. And this is all about, uh, America fighting to be America, basically separating itself from England. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then I always asked my mom about my grandfather, and she told me, she never knew her dad.
Yeah.
Because what happened is, I'll give you a quick story. Her dad got in a fight with a pair of brothers, supposedly a family that's pretty notoriously vicious in the county down in Kentucky where they were from. Bunch of moonshiners, right? So they got in an altercation between each other, and it was him against two brothers. So his only option was to pull his gun out, and he had to kill one of them.
Wow.
So the judge, as they did a lot back then, gave it an opportunity. Son, I either got to send you to prison because if I just don't do nothing, we're going to have a big problem with this family here in this county. So pretty much he told him, so you got two options. You're going to go to prison, or I'll let you sign up into the army and you can go to war. And you have a chance after 4 years. I think that's what it was back then. It was like 4 years, not six. I think it was four. He says to get out and have a life, and instead of being in prison for over 10 years. So he chose the army, and he went overseas. And even though that was the reason why he was in the army, he wrote my grandmother, and my mom would talk about the letters that she has that her mom gave her, that of her dad writing and talking about once he got over there, he realized this is where God meant for him to be.
Wow.
So he said he was doing something that was larger than himself. This was freeing Europe from the tyranny of Hitler was a purpose of his that he was over there. So, anyways, they got in a huge battle in France, and he didn't make it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So then my mom was born in 1943. So I mean, he had just gotten over there, and so he basically was killed shortly after she was born. So with that, saying when my mom would tell us this story, she could never tell us without crying. And which is kind of odd. And back then, I thought as a kid, it's kind of odd. You never met your dad, so why are you crying over him? You know what I mean? Kind of like what a silly young person's attitude about certain things. And then as I got a little older, um, Carter got in office there at the end in the 70s, and I was seeing uh, how bad the country had gotten. Because we had the oil embargo, we had to stand in line with trying to get gas, and you may or may not get gas that day because the tanker ran out that brought the fuel or whatever. So that and all that was done right after Watergate, and most of this stuff was Democrats' fault. And even though my mother was a Democrat, vote blue no matter who kind of person, she had a problem with Carter herself. But she still felt like his party, the party that she voted for, uh, there's a reason. She always said, "Well, there's a reason why they did it, and I just don't know the reason." I was like, "Really? That's the best conclusion you can come up with? Is they have a reason, you just don't know the reason? Bullshit." You know what I mean? And I'm saying this as a junior high school student, and so as I got older and I was working on cars with some neighbors. A lot of my uh, neighborhood was single mothers, but we had a couple of houses in the neighborhood that had both parents, mother and father. And my one friend who actually taught me how to work on cars. Basically, I painted my first car when I was 13, and he taught me. And but he'd been in Vietnam, and he drank his day away. He couldn't work a regular job because nobody would hire him because he had an attitude. He'd get drunk every day. And so my first job with him was, you remember the beer cans that had all the plastic rings on it, and then the case of beer was like a little half cut off cardboard box with
Yeah,
4 six-packs sitting in it.
I do.
So my first job was to get his beer, slide that out from underneath the car, snap one out of the ring, and then give it to him. He drank it warm. But the more he drank, the better he got on working on cars, which was fascinating to me. I was like, really? How's this even possible? You know what I mean? But sometimes he'd drink too much. And when he drank too much, it triggered him. And he would relive Vietnam. And as a teenager, I'm sitting back and I'm watching this, and his wife is trying to control him. And he's reliving this. And then you know the next time I'd see him, when he'd be kind of sober, I'd talk to him about it. And I said, "Man, bet you must be mad, you must be angry at the country, sending you over there because the draft, right? He was drafted." And he's like, "No," he says, uh, "I'm not angry." He says, I felt like we did we didn't here's how he put it. He said, "I didn't fight over there for America." He said, "I fought over there for the people who, was to my left and to my right." He says, "That was the reason that we fought, was to stay alive and to help each other stay alive." But one day he was a truck driver, so they were driving a convoy through the jungle, and, a grenade had bounced across the hood of his truck and went off right there at the windshield in front of him. And this is when he was removed from Vietnam because it took off half his face.
Oh,
So he had several reconstruction surgeries. I mean, he didn't look half bad for knowing that he had his nose blown off and his cheekbone was a chunk of it was missing. And so it's like he couldn't grow a beard because of all the surgeries that had been done on his face. But he still didn't regret doing it, even with the nightmares, I guess you'd call it, when he'd be too drunk. And then he'd tell me about how he was treated when he come home. And I'm thinking, and you still are not angry about this. He says, I can't be angry. He says, when we go to war, this country goes to war, we are brothers. And he says, when we go to war, we don't fight to destroy the other side. We fight to survive so we all can go home. He says, we just typically can win because of the technology that we have compared to everybody else. He said, but we don't go over there just to win. We go over there to just to survive. And he said, and the best thing I ever done was survive. He says it gave him the big middle finger. And he said he don't blame the country. He does blame politicians. He did. He hated politicians with a to a T. But he said that flag means more than just the battles that we were in. Just means more than just Vietnam. It's every conflict we've ever had in this country that somebody didn't make it home. And he said, so when we fight, we want to honor that every single time we pull the trigger on somebody. And he'd start crying when he talked about it. And as a 15-year-old, because he didn't tell me until I was 15, even though I'd known him for a few years. And he said, if you ever get the opportunity to wear a uniform, he said, be proud. He said, don't be angry, just be proud. And although I was too big of a guy, I tried getting in the. He inspired me. I tried getting in the army when I got out of high school, but I was a little bit too overweight. And but saying that, um, he had a problem with the Democrats. So it was the Shorty who kind of like, fuck them Democrats, them stupid bastards. He said, they're the first one to get you in the war. He says Republicans, for whatever reason, they don't want to fight. They want to negotiate. And he says, I can appreciate that because it keeps people who don't have a choice from marching over on foreign soil and pulling the trigger on somebody they don't know.
yeah,
And he says, and that's the goal, is to have an army that's so powerful that everybody else is afraid to fight them. He said, so he had a positive thing, and he loved Reagan. So Reagan was the first president I was able to vote for, and I got so involved with that first election that I was able to get in that it really did mold me to be 100% Republican. And now I'm mad at Republicans. I don't even say I'm Republican no more. I just say I'm MAGA. Because as you get older and then the curtain is pulled back, you realize that there ain't much difference between Republican and Democrats anymore. Certain ones.
yes,
So I just call myself MAGA, and then I'm more involved with making sure we put the right people in office now than I ever was. Because I always thought I just vote Republican, and I voted the right way, and I did all right, and they're supposed to take care of us, supposed to have our backs, and now we know different.
yeah,
But back then, it was just like all in for the flag. Everything was about that flag. To my mom, it was about the flag. To Shorty, it was about the flag. Even to a friend of mine who come back from Iraq, who was just a shell of the person that he was when he went over there. He was never the same. He was a happy-go-lucky guy, had jokes out the ass. When he come back, he wouldn't even hardly speak. He still don't even hardly speak, but he don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So Iraq must have been horrible for just about every soldier that was over there, uh, because they seen a lot of, they fought in civilian areas where civilians died was part of the collateral damage, and I think that's what got most of them is the women and children that were killed, and they had to deal with that. But they all still, even him, hey, and he's got his patch from the American flag from his military uniform. He still has it, and to him, that's more important than the medal he got for. He got a medal of valor over in Iraq. So all these people are better than me. When I say that, I mean I'm sure I would have went over there and did my part, but these people were better than me uh, before they even fought. They were, you know what I'm saying? There was something about these individuals that it's hard to explain. Uh, let's just say any one of these individuals, if something was to happen, you'd want them to be around to have your back. And I'd like to think that I am that way. I'm pretty sure that I am. Uh, but I'm not tested like they were. So they were tested. They were
Yeah.
actually they were true Americans. My one friend is still alive. He loves this country. He'll tell you. You don't know it till you get over there and you have to defend the values of a country that you may not think has your back.
Right.
And they don't. They didn't. Over in Iraq, they did not have the soldiers back. They really didn't.
What does
So
it? Oh, go ahead.
no, no, no. Go ahead. I'm
No,
just
I just
saying that these people were much better than me, and they were all Republican type individuals, and that's kind of what molded me back. Like I said, I started back in 1976, and then it just kind of like grew from there.
what is the most, if there's a time, and it may not be, that you feel was the most that you felt the patriotism of what it is to be free and an American? Now, there was probably many times, but is there a defining moment for you where it's very moving to you? Like you remember something about it. You just felt, I don't know, a field, a peace, a joy, a proud, whatever. Is there a time where you just you can see maybe even hard to put into words, but you felt this is America. This is why we are who we are. Is there a moment like that?
Yeah, and I can tell you. No, I can actually tell you when my English teacher in high school. Um, he was part of the raising of the flag every morning. You know how you get out there, you raise the flag at your school. I don't even know if they still do that ceremony anymore.
They do. They do at my kids' elementary school. I know.
But I was watching him one day, and you could tell his eyes were watering up. You know what I mean? So I asked him about it one day after class because me and him kind of have a pretty good relationship. Because I wasn't a very good student. He just told me I had potential, but I sucked as a student. And I said, "Hey, I seen you got a little emotional there the other day when the flag was raised." And he says, "Oh, he says it was just some memories coming back." I said, "Some memories." He said, "Yeah, I was in Vietnam." He said, "In my platoon, I think there were like 18 or something in this little platoon he had that he was part of, and they got in a battle one time, and out of the 18, only 5 survived."
Mm.
And he was remembering his friends, and he was trying to tell me about it, but he's getting all choked up. And I said, "You're not," and I always would ask, "You're not angry?" He said, "No, no, no, no. These guys, when they died, they died knowing that they're fighting for a country that is the best country." He used to say this all the time. We are the best country in the world. Don't you ever doubt that. He says, I can show you how many other countries that people don't even have even close to the freedoms that we have. And he says, and it all starts with our flag. He says, because more people has died holding that flag up, keeping it standing. And, you go back to the time when Star Spangled Banner was written. You know, the English, they focused on that fort. They thought if they could knock the flag down, that they would, weaken the morale of the Americans fighting back in that fort, fighting toward, back against the English. And they spent an entire night and day trying to knock this flag down, and they couldn't do it. Well, come to find out later, the reason why they couldn't do it is individuals knowing that they were going to get killed because all the English ships were focusing their cannons on this flagpole. They would run up and they would hold it up manually. Human power would hold this flagpole up, and then when they were hit by a cannonball and killed, somebody else would take their place.
Yeah,
And and it's like, even though it wasn't 50 stars and 13 stripes at the time, it was still the American flag.
that's right.
And so then you remember in World War II, the famous picture where you had the Marines, the Army, and the Navy uh, holding the flagpole up on top of, I think it was Iwo
Yeah,
Jima
Iwo
or
Jima.
someplace.
Yes.
So yeah, so you think about that, and these people risked their lives to stand that flag up so it can be seen. So
How did
the flag means everything to me. I can't explain it. It's just something in my core. To see somebody on the U.S. soil burn American flag, uh, that right there will make me want to fight faster than anything. And I don't care if I'm in the wrong by saying that. But violence. If you want to see my violent side, burn an American flag in my presence. You'll see
that?
violence like you ain't never seen before.
Yeah, that was where I was going. Actually, was when we've all seen that. Well, we have a love for the flag, and we have a love for, or it's emotional to us to watch the flag draped over coffins of soldiers coming back that have died, and then to see somebody burn that flag, stomp on that flag, desecrate that flag, and all the things. I know what I feel. It makes me very, very angry. And I know they have a protected right. I don't care. A flag is an important symbol of your nation.
But the protected. Here's the thing: the First Amendment is freedom of speech, freedom of expression of speech, which is basically you're allowed to show signs and stuff like that. But people don't realize is okay. Burning a flag, burning any object is supposed to be against the law in the city limits without a permit.
Yeah,
And even as small as the fire is, it's still breaking a bunch of city ordinances. So there is a law against just burning anything. But because of people fear the First Amendment will be violated, they
yeah,
allow them to do it. I say no. It's like this when President Trump signed that executive order that burning the U.S. flag is going to be against the law, and then that dude burns the flag the next day. Well, he didn't get in trouble for burning the flag. He got in trouble for burning something on federal property.
yeah.
So even then, they still didn't charge him for burning the American flag. Some things, the American flag is a U.S. treasure. Some things should be protected. We protect animals. We ought to be able to protect the flag because you are right. This is one of the few things that gets draped over a casket when a soldier is brought home from war. Now, that in itself should be a protected item. So I believe it should be considered a national treasure. Congress can make an amendment to this saying that you can do all these other things in your First Amendment right, except for burning the flag. And it went to the Supreme Court before, but it was lost. It was a 5-4 decision, so it was just one vote away from being illegal at that time. Back when they had it in front of the Supreme Court, so
And
you know,
Congress can overrule the Supreme Court, but you have to have, what is it, 75% or something like that
yeah,
of
you have to have
the vote.
60 votes,
Yeah. So,
something like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. It really makes me angry to see those kinds of things happening. Have you ever been to a military honors, funeral for a
Yes.
veteran? And it's one of the most moving things. Uh, they play the taps, or they
Because
sometimes I've
they
heard bagpipes, and it's just so moving.
Yeah, taps is probably one of the um, I say loneliest notes as far as a song, because that's what it is, a song. It is in itself makes you feel lonely just by listening to it. And you know what I mean? So just that feeling it's in itself, when you know why it's being played, and you look over and you see the casket going in the ground, and then at the end of it you get the 21 gun salute. Uh, you know, there's a
And
sense of pride there, but there's
sure.
also a sense of super, super loss that is even different than a regular funeral. I've been to all kinds of funerals, and to me, that's the most emotional funeral I've probably ever been to.
Yes, Broski, absolutely. The tearing down of those monuments is a travesty. I mean, it's just they're veterans. They're veterans, and it shouldn't happen. Going back to the flag, and that ceremony also is the presentation of the flag at the end to the widow or family.
Floating,
Man, that
floating
is
stone.
there's nothing like it. There's just everybody's eyes are on that flag, and that is the last symbol to present that to her, and the private words that are said from the soldier to whoever that person is. It's wow. You can't help but tear up, man. It's just wow.
Well, well, as they say, and I don't know it word for word, but they hand the flag to him. They said, uh, "Is America is a this is a symbol of appreciation for the sacrifice that your son has made and you have made for this country." And when they get told that this is a symbol of appreciation, and it's the flag, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. Do you
this is
think
why I think it should be a national treasure.
Yeah, and I know people are trying to be patriotic, but what is your thoughts about people wearing the American flag as clothing? On shirts, hats, shorts. What is your thoughts there? It's fine. I just was
I
curious.
don't really have a problem with that, and I tell you why, because it's not actually it's just a it's just a printed representation of the flag. It's not the actual flag.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
not something that's gonna be, you know, pulled up a flagpole.
Yeah. I have
But
ties that
I
I wear to church, the American flag. Wear them often to church.
yeah, it's just a symbol of it. It's not the actual flag. It's just like anything. It's kinda like when if you have a picture of you on a shirt, it's just a representation of you
Yeah.
on the shirt. It's not you. So when you see that, a representation of the flag on somebody's clothes, it's not the flag, it's just a representation of it. So I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. It's the flag itself. And to me, there's a sense of if you're wearing the flag, there's got to be a sense of pride to that, because you're showing everybody what you're what you're made of. This is what you respect. You respect the flag so much you're wearing a representation of it.
Yeah. Um, let's shift gears a little bit because I've got two or three things I want to make sure we get to in this hour, and I don't want to run out of time. And I'm enjoying it. You're really a blessing to have you here, and I thank you so much for sharing. we're hearing, the phrase "America First" is is commonly now. In fact, I put it on the show, "America First." I and I don't. Again, it's your beliefs. I don't want to press what I think, but do you think what does that mean, America First? And second part to that question is do you think that most people follow what you would say that means, or are we divided as a nation on what that means? I'm talking
Well,
about among conservatives, even not the crazy people who hate America. I'm talking about people who say I'm an American, I love America. Where are we at with that? And just your thoughts about that.
we are divided because there's like it- it's easy to say America first, but are you willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that it is America first? When I hear, to me, America first is, I'm so tired of us being the world's police. You know, I'm so tired of us spending all this money. Uh, think about how much they spent on just this last 4 years on illegal immigration. It, it was a minimum $500 billion, minimum. And if you think about how much the lives could be changed of actual Americans
Yeah,
instead of giving it to foreigners who don't give a shit about this country. They don't respect this country. They're here for the to bleed the resources of this country. And I'm so tired of like foreign aid where they've got we give foreign aid to over 150 countries in this world. Foreign aid to 150 countries. Why are we giving anybody any money? We're talking they talk about, well, we help these people, lift themselves up out of poverty and out of third world conditions. You know what? That's their problem. I hate to say this. It sounds, I take kind of an aggressive uh kind of a position on this, but I don't give a shit if their countries aren't doing very well development wise. But that's their problem. That's their government. That's their people's problem. We're doing good. We can do better. We screwed
yeah,
up by giving countries like China manufacturing because, well, they wouldn't, China was failing as a country until they joined the World Trade Organization. They were failing as a country. So what we do? We did that. You remember the Paris Accord? Everybody's talking about like you know the new Green Deal and all this other stuff, climate change. So in the Paris Accord, countries that they considered developing countries did not have to follow the rules of the Paris Accord, which is if you have manufacturing, you have to have so much green energy, you have to have so much lower emissions. You know
right.
who which one of those countries did not have to do none of that?
China.
China.
Yeah.
Now, do you really consider China a developing country still? When
No.
they have almost 30% of all manufacturing in the world, and
Yeah.
they're not a developing country anymore. So
No.
how is it they can run all these? Remember when they had to shut all those factories down during the Olympics over there because the smog was so bad they couldn't see nothing,
No. Yeah.
and yet they can still run that way, and then we have to sacrifice our ability to work over here. If you're really worried about climate change, allow the stuff to be built in America because we, with our emissions, our EPA rules, and everything else, we are the cleanest energy as far as working with factories and stuff than any other country in the world. We are it. So if you're really worried about climate change, you want those factories to come back to America because places like India and China and them places, Taiwan, South Korea, none of them people follows the same rules we do. So, it's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. So when you say America first to me is everybody else can go to hell. If you fail as a country, like let's take Haiti. How much money's been dumped into Haiti since 2010? We'll just go since 2010, although it was way before that. And they still are a warring nation that has nothing. And now we have, you know, almost a million Haitians over here through their temporary protected status and their refugee status. And I tell you what, they are not smart people. They are not. But that's not our problem. So now we bring these unsmart people over to this country and put them in non-skilled factory jobs where they don't have to have any skill at all. It's put one part in, pull one part out type jobs. And the rest of their life here, all the ways they can, like, they can't drive, uh, they can't do their bills right, they can't do anything right. They're just not smart people. That's all I can say. And I'm not trying to be mean, but they literally, that country has been tested. The average IQ in Haiti is 64. Think about that. And we have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them now over here in this country. So we're dumbing down this country.
You know, and the president has spoke on this, and we're taking the worst of some of these places, and we're
We
having
don't
to
need a
support them.
whole population of third world countries in here.
Yeah,
That's not what this country here is about. Finding the brightest and the most capable people in the world and allowing them to be citizens here. There's some people, like, you take people come from Cuba. Um, you know, Cubans are very good workers. They're very ingenuitive people. They're not nothing like Haitians. So if you're going to bring people over from like a third world country, Cubans would be a good, not a problem to me. Uh, but they come over here and they love this country. I don't know if you ever met Cubans before or not,
I
Dave,
have.
but they
I have.
love this country. They'll tell you they try their best to be an American. They even tell their kids don't speak our language in the house. Everybody speak English. They are so patriotic as unreal. Anybody that comes from a country that has been beaten and battered for real, it seems they have an appreciation for this country that is beyond belief. Uh, but these people coming from the southern border, no, no, they're not here uh, because they want to be American. They're here to change the landscape of America.
Yeah.
I'll give you a good example, Dave. They tell our college educated, pasty white liberal women that if you get married and have children, that's modern day slavery. But yet they say, "Hey, but we need all these people to come up from the southern border because we have a population rejuvenation problem.
I know.
So let's let all these Brazilians, Venezuelans, Mexicans, uh, Argentina. Let's let all these people come in here and get pregnant and have babies, and that way you pasty white college girls don't have to. So eventually, your bloodline will be eliminated." And these pasty white college kids, uh, they're basically head diving right into their own demise.
Yeah, well, it was a video I saw the other day of it was another country, and someone basically, I don't know if you saw that, told the other person that we are outproducing you with children, and in a few years there'll be more of us than there are of you. You lose. That's
There will
pretty much
be.
what they said, because their birth rates for that, and I forget which country it was. It was a huge country, but I want to say it was Danish, but I don't remember. But anyway, where it was an argument, and the guy said, "Well, it don't matter. You have more than us now, but we're producing more babies, and we'll be bigger than you in just a few years. We already know the number. We already know how long, and we win. You lose. Just matter of fact, like
Well,
just a matter of time."
they have convinced these uh, pasty white leftists that that very thing is like it is a bad thing to want to repopulate and keep the white race going, basically,
Yeah,
because the white man in particular, according to them, has oppressed so many people in this world that they don't deserve to be in charge anymore. But what they tend to forget is it's the white man all the way through history that actually basically made this country and has lifted more people out of poverty around the world than any other individuals. We've made more inventions. We've had more innovations, medications, uh, architecture, music. All these things have been influenced by white men. But yet, when you hear somebody coming out of college, they talk about how this is stolen land and this the country was built on the backs of slavery, which 1.6% of the population owned slaves for finance purposes. When I say finance purposes, I mean they had slaves to earn money by them out working in the fields. Now there are some people who had slaves just because they were rich enough and they had house slaves that didn't, was not earners basically. But only 1.4% of the population actually had slaves that were earners. And it was not built on the backs of slaves. It was not. It was built on frontiersmen, men and women who took the chance and loaded up a wagon and rode across this country to settle in different parts of the country. That's what created this country. And then we had the revolution, the industrial revolution in the turn of the century in 1900, and that's what put America up in front of everybody else in the world is the industrial revolution. So
yeah.
it
Let's move to one final topic, and again appreciate the time. Thanks for everybody that's watching. Thank you, Broski. Um, what I guess what I would say is from your perspective, where are we at, and what do you see as the future of America? We love the country. We have patriotic. Where are we at as a nation? And I know it's hard to predict the future, but I guess who wins? Does patriotism win out, or do we lose this battle we're all afraid of about the things that you talked about for the last 45 minutes?
well, patriotism to me, sorry, is we're gonna have to. We've had such a good life in our generation here in this country. Even though we've had some conflicts, we've had Iraq and stuff like that. We have had a decent life in this country, and we've not really had to struggle on this soil. Well, that's coming. So to me, there is enough patriots out here that will overcome the individuals that has that mindset of, well, that can't happen here. This is America. Yeah, I hate when I hear somebody say that. Well, that can't happen here. Yes, yes, it can, and it's
Yeah,
happening right now. Pay attention to who you vote for. Pay attention to their affiliations. And I know we have freedom of religion, but there's some religions, one in particular, that uses that against us and has decided that this is their new jihad in this country. Instead of using bullets, they're going to use ballots. They're going to take this country over one vote at a time. So be mindful of who you vote for.
yeah,
I think we will win in the end, but I think some people are going to have their beliefs shattered a little bit because they think because in America we're untouchable by anything that's horrific. You know what I mean? That can't happen here. You know what I mean? It's like a revolution that can't happen here. Civil War, oh, that can't happen here. You know what I mean? It's like freedom of speech. they make such a big deal about burning the flag. What about compelled speech? Canada a few years ago had compelled speech laws enacted. So if you didn't call somebody by their preferred pronoun, you could be fined and up to a few days in prison or jail, rather. And, oh, that can't happen here. This is America. We have First Amendment. Well, I hate to tell you this, we now have in Colorado compelled speech law. Now, I'm sure when it makes it to the Supreme Court, it'll be overturned, but right now it is the law of the land if you live in Colorado. If you do not call somebody by their preferred pronoun, you could get up to 4 months in jail.
Wow.
So it is here. They work on it. They working on us so much that a lot of people can't accept these things. But those are the ones that will be victims of the next conflict. And I don't necessarily mean that it's going to be pull out a gun and go do something to somebody. Uh, it could be just political conflict, which I think is where we're headed right now. I think we're there as far as how the country is split. We worry about the dumbest things. For one thing, we don't have a racial problem till now. Since Obama, he did a good job about using identity politics, creating a racial divide. Now you have to worry about being white in America and all these other people wanting to do bad things to us just because of the color of our skin. We got to quit worrying about this stuff and quit fighting over it because this is what they want. They want us divided because, a land divided is easily conquered. So it's, uh,
Broski, I don't
sorry,
know.
Jack.
He's seen some of them, I think. So I've tried to pop them up. I think y'all are. I think y'all agree on most things. But I've been putting him on the screen, but he's been busy. Obviously, you get busy.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's saying the same thing I am.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
see
I've
that.
been seeing your comments. I
Okay.
just did. This wasn't the platform for it because I don't want because me and Dave's had these conversations about religion, and I get his point of view, and I didn't want to make it all about that one topic. So I was just trying to keep it
No,
to what the
I
question
really
that he
don't.
asked.
I
I
really
was just
don't disagree with you. I think it's just. I think I was just presenting kind of. It's kind of like what you said about the flag. We don't like what is being how that's being done, but there are treasonous things that are happening against the country. I'm dead set against, and I don't like that being done and hurting America. Because again, if we're America first, we can't let those things happen. So let's. Got a few minutes left. Um, the what if game. You're president. What? And I know you could probably list 100, but give me 3 to 5 things that if you were elected president to protect this country, to keep it on the right path, the freedom, America first. What do you do? What do you do? Some things may have already been done that you would have done by the president, but what do you think are the critical missions that's got to happen right now? I mean, we're already behind. We got to get it done.
well, I think we need to change the landscape of the way our government is ran right now. Uh, I think they got to push term limits. I think if the president has to be a U.S. born citizen to be president, I think everybody in the federal government. I'd like for all the governments in this country, local, city, state, whatever, to be U.S. born citizens to be to hold office of any kind. But for now, I'd say if I was president and I'd be under the purview of the federal government, that we pass a thing saying you have to be U.S. born to be an elected official in this country. That would change a few things because and I'll give you a good example. Uh, Tashida Rashida Tlaib, that's her name, the congresswoman out of Michigan. She's a Muslim. She hates this country. She just did a speech at in Dearborn, Michigan, in front of like a couple thousand Muslims up there, talking about how they're going to take over this country and fill these all these positions, these mayoral positions, these governor positions, these Congress positions, these senator positions, and they will take over. And her exact words is, "Now that we're here, we ain't going nowhere, motherfuckers." That's exactly what she told them. And so that's a scary thought because, see, to me, if you have a problem with this country, like Ilhan Omar, AOC, and a few others, it should exempt you from being uh, a U.S. congressman or senator because you now are showing negative, treasonous signs of not being America first. So, to me, as a president, those are the things that you can actually pass in Congress if you have enough votes. If you're a strong enough president, you'll get the votes and change the landscape that way a little bit, and that would help. And also, all these people who are wanting to be segregated now, they spent decades getting to be equal. Now they're wanting to go back to the things that they want to be segregated, but they want us to be the minority now instead of them, and we can't have that either because they're doing it for all the wrong reasons. So if it was for the right reasons, I guarantee I would be behind it. It'd be fine, but it's not. It's for all the wrong reasons. So, anyways, not to I jumped all around different couple things there, but that's what I would do.
Oh, you're good, brother.
I would fix a few things in Congress because that's where it all starts.
What about the federal judges? We've seen a problem with that. The president is opposed, it seems, at every turn by federal judges who've been appointed by Obama, Biden mainly. There may have been a couple that were appointed by Republicans, but where do we go with this? I mean, this is a problem. I mean,
Ju-
they're ruling on things that, to me, that are unconstitutional or against the Constitution. I would say.
Well, judges are not judges anymore; they're activists, and just by the experience, lack of these Obama appointed and Biden appointed judges, they have a lack of the judicial system, laws, period. Uh, l- Most of these judges have had like 70% overturns of their decisions on the bench, but yet they're still there. So to me, if you have a certain percentage of overturns, it should exempt you from being a judge anymore. You should be
Yeah,
removed from your position because if you're that horrible that you got more, let's say if and I don't know what kind of percentage I would put on it. Let's say 40% of the stuff that you have gets overturned. That's a large number of stuff, which means you're not making the right decision on the bench. So you
right.
should be removed from there and somebody else put in your place because it's a performance record. If you can't perform, then you're fired.
Yeah, and we hear that phrase, well, when it gets to the Supreme Court, this will be overturned. But that takes time. And while that time factor, we're getting hurt as a country in many ways of being able
Absolutely.
to take care of the country.
Absolutely.
So that's a problem.
It's done on purpose. None of any of these things that they do, they pretty much know 80% of the time they're in the wrong. They just do it like you said to throw a wrench in the process. They're just, holding things back, slowing things down. And then they're constantly having to fight these decisions in court and a higher court to get it overturned so they can continue on doing the president's business. It is nothing but a stall tactic. But to me, if you're a judge, you shouldn't be involved in a stall tactic. It's got to be something that is truly you're doing it for legal reasons, not just because you're an activist and you believe in what the leftists believe in, and instead of just believing in the law, in the
James, let me
constitutional law.
grab a quick ad here, and I've got a final question for you if you have time. Do you have time
Oh
for
yeah.
the? Okay, great. Let me grab this ad here real quick, as we do as creators. All right, we love Rumble, and there's the QR code on the screen. You go to www.rumble.com/app and download Rumble. We've encouraged all of our listeners on the Southern Fried to download the Rumble app, and now others as well. But if you haven't already, make sure you download the Rumble app. It's free. It's free, simple to use, the best way to stay connected to the content you want. Once you've got it, search for my channel and hit follow. That way, you'll get a notification every time we go live. No missed shows, no extra steps. You can grab it right now using the link in the description or the pinned live chat. Download it to your phone and you're ready to go. And if you prefer watching on the big screen, Rumble is available on all major streaming devices and smart TVs. Just search for Rumble, follow the channel, and be part of the action. And I do that often. I will absolutely watch on the big TV. Sometimes here in the studio, I'll pull up podcasts when I'm not broadcasting, and that's what I do. I just put it over there, and I've watched you. I've watched Killer Carl. I just kick back and get my sweet tea or my coffee or whatever, and I do that. So it's free. We can talk about Rumble Premium later, but you got to have the Rumble app. So thank you, James. And this is a little bit controversial, I guess, but I heard a guy talk one time about if the country was in that um, Steve. Yes, thank you, Steve, and we all cheer for Rumble. It's a blessing to have that in our lives. Absolutely. I heard a guy that was he described himself as a constitutionalist, which meant he was a defender of the Constitution, which is a bedrock document for us. And so here's the question, and you can attack this however you want, or you can say, I don't even want to say that. Talk about that. Is there a point where the president, to save the union, do you see a point, at what point would you see that the president would need to save the union, to save the country, arrest certain people and come under use the military uh, to stop the destruction of the United States of America? I've heard all kinds of scenarios on this. I know it would be bad, but is there a point when the president, who is the commander in chief, who's sworn to defend this country by all means possible and the Constitution, is there a point that, I hope we never get there, but is there a point, if we got to that point, and what is that point, that the president should absolutely do that?
There is a point, and we're actually quite close, closer than you realize, because you have officials who, when the president asks about something or says, do this or get this done, they literally lie to him and give him false information of stuff that he asked to get done. And then they chose not to do it because it's something they don't feel like it should be done. To me, that right there is a soft coup. And in my opinion, that should enact a martial law type situation. And then certain government officials, unelected officials, staffers, sometimes in the military, some of the people that were like installed as generals and stuff for different versions of things that they're supposed to do. It seems like the generals have lied to President Trump more than anybody.
True.
They lie about numbers. Like when he asked for them to be pulled out of Afghanistan. Do you remember that? And
Yes.
I think it was Milley told him they are that there's nobody left there, and come find out they didn't pull anybody out. And then when he found out about it, that's when he made a deal with the Taliban, and people got so mad at him. But these are the people who are actually in charge of this country. So if you want to get everybody out safely, you had to make a deal with the Taliban, and it would have worked if they had followed his plan. But Biden decided to do his own thing and made one of the made it one of the most embarrassing removals of American people and American soldiers in the history of anything, as far as the ending of a conflict for us. And to lose $85 billion worth of military equipment is the dumbest shit I ever seen. So are we? I think we're close. I really do. And I also believe that, okay, so when you're talking about martial law, basically he becomes a dictator at that point.
Yeah.
And they call him a dictator all the time. I always say, if you call me something enough, I'm going to just do what you call. If you're going to accuse me of it, I might as well do it. So I say, let him be our dictator. You know what I mean? Because we've had to deal with their dictators for the last 4 years. So I'd rather have him as a dictator of this country than Biden or Kamala. And I believe this country needs a cleansing. Now, how that happens, what that looks like, I have my thoughts on it, how it would look like. A lot of people will not be able to accept it in their brains. They'll think, oh, you're just being too extreme, too radical. No, I'm not. We've been pushed into a corner and we've been forced to think this way. This is not something we want to think about. This is
No.
something we have to think about, because there may come a time in the next 4 years or less where our president says, here's what's happening. We're being invaded by people on our own soil. Uh, take up arms. And here's what we got to do. This could very well happen. People think like it's an impossibility. That can't happen here. This is America. There's no way that can happen here. I hate to tell you this, but there's something coming, and it's coming to a town near you. Just remember that. So
Yeah.
be very aware of your surroundings. If you lived in Springfield, Ohio, you would know exactly what I'm talking about, because we feel like we live behind enemy lines here.
So, part B to that question, this is my last question, but it goes back to something I heard you say. I already know the answer. If your president called you into service and said, I need your help to defend the Constitution of the United States, are you ready, sir?
Yes. I don't even need him to give me any ammo. I got my own.
I remember that show I was listening to you on your channel, Empty Pockets Podcast, and you said, I forget how you worded it, but something about the president. What was
If
it you
my
said?
president tomorrow said, I need your help, you willing to fire your weapon on American soil? Or if my president called me up to call to arms tomorrow to fight other people in our own government, yes, I am ready and willing.
Oh, we pray it doesn't get that way, but there's crazy, scary things going on in our country. And there are forces here that want to tear down the country. The president has a duty. He has a duty to defend the country and the Constitution. So, James, thanks for being here. Thanks for everybody in the chat. I could go on and on. I know you could. We'll let you get out of here, and I'm going to reset for another show. This is the first of many shows or interviews like this, and we'll have people from all walks of life that will talk about it, and military people and whomever God lays on my heart. And I've enjoyed the conversation. This is really good. Thank you for all the comments in the chat. Thank y'all for being here. Steve, sorry that you were having trouble getting into the show. Sometimes weird things happen. I've been having it happen a lot lately, and it's really weird. But folks, we'll get out of here. Take care. God bless, James. Best wishes to you, and
I was gonna, I was
you're
gonna
gonna be on
say,
Killer Carl's tonight, right?
yes, I am, and then I'll probably do my own live stream after that, because I've been doing after hours live stream when I'm on
Okay.
somebody else's podcast, and then I invite people on and we talk about whatever we were talking about during the other podcast, except it's now is I'm the main point of view of opinion, not the other people. But I wanted to say, as Brewski, I was wanting to try to get a hold of him and see if he wanted to come on one of my podcasts. And
Yeah, we've tried to get him on. He might. I don't know if he wants to be on camera, but he might do audio. I
well,
think that's what.
I have a few people that don't come on camera because they don't want to be seen,
What's your
but their
email,
mics
brother?
are turned on. And it's better than typing a bunch of stuff. It's empty pockets garage at hotmail.com.
Empty Pockets
Garage
Garage at
hotmail.com.
hotmail.com. There you go, broski. There's your invitation. And
Email me.
yeah, email you. Email.
That's fine, Brewski. You ain't got to turn the camera on.
Yeah,
Like I
he
said,
and
I have a few people who won't turn their camera on. It's fine.
yeah, and I got to get him on. We're going to talk football too, so we'll have to do that if he's willing to come on. But hey, good night, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your shows tonight. Steve also at Half Pine Forge. Go to his channel. All these folks, they're friends, and I'm honored to have them as friends. And everybody, just be safe out there. And God bless America, and God bless these American patriots. We appreciate it very much. All right, we're out.